Lemon Amiga presents a Playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey there, welcome to another Lemon Amiga Playguide and review. This one is an AGA game. This is Shadow Fighter, or at least the AGA version. This was developed by Naps Software and it was published by Gremlin Interactive on the Amiga in April 1995. After an introduction which shows us the box art, we also get a few options and some extra options as well, where we can change our difficulty mode. Of course, I'm a novice on these kinds of things, so I'm going to leave everything on easy, although perhaps you want to turn off stun mode if you find the enemies are stunning you all too often. And then we get to choose a single player head-to-head, which I'm going to use at the moment instead of the championship. So let's go for Surya. He comes from Belgium, he's 23 and he's a kickboxing world champion, spinning roundhouse kicks and flying kicks and everything else. And you can see our opponent has got special moves galore, so that isn't going to make it particularly easy for us, especially if we don't have a clue how to activate those moves. And of course there's no mention of them on the game itself. Luckily, with the WHD load version, it does give us a number of those as image files, and if you have an image viewer on your computer, you can look at them and hopefully you can memorize some of your favourite characters' attacks. Obviously some characters have more moves than others, and you can see some that have maybe 5 or 6 of them, whilst others just have 2. So it really depends on if you really want to waste time with the special moves or not. And you can see, I think that's maybe that's the top bad guy, I'm not quite sure, but some of those require a lot of joystick waggling. This is a one-on-one beat 'em up, and you can see that our opponent has wasted no time beating us up with the blood all over the floor. And I think, yep, in most matches it's 2 rounds per match, so we have an extra opportunity. Unfortunately, this guy can use his sword, which fires lightning blades all around the screen. Unfortunately, we'll walk into them and get electrified. Remember, we're playing this on easy mode at the moment, and it even gives us the opportunity to continue. But this is a simple demonstration of the game, so let's go through those scenarios. Let's choose the next one, Electra, and it will automatically randomise the character selection so that we do not have any clue who we are about to face. Usually on these fighting games, the woman is quick with those reactions, and as far as my special moves go, I have no idea how to activate them, so I'm basically playing this cold at the moment after many years not playing it. In fact, I probably only played it once back in the day, maybe if ever. So I never owned this game back in the day. This is definitely a new game to me. And this is the AGA version. It was available on an ordinary OCS ECS version, so anybody could play this game on any Amiga, but this being the AGA version, it includes a few more colours. That includes the background, which is known as copper. a few more colours in the background, and you can see some excellent parallaxing as we rise and fall through the level. It's not a hard technique to do, simply bringing graphics on and off the screen, but it's very impressive to see. And you can see parallax on the foreground, the tiles move along the floor as we do, and that is again a very impressive thing to see. And as far as beat 'em ups, I think AGA Plus is my favourite on the Amiga because it's fast and it's fluid and you can get stuck in with a fighting chance. But this game, unless you know every single tactic, you're going to find yourself on the floor. This particular opponent is fairly weak, but he can disappear at a moment's notice, so that isn't particularly good when you're supposed to be hitting the guy. And again, it's great to see that blood piling up on the floor, just like Moonstorm that we've already reviewed this series. On that occasion, I think that we will continue with that particular battle. And there's also a training mode as well. It's fun to see the training mode. So let's choose a rock hard character against Pupaz. And he's a puppet, obviously. So let's go for, well, it's a difficult decision because it really does give us tons of characters. So we can move up and down and around these characters, and it also points out, I think, on the globe where where we want to fight. So let's fight in, well, perhaps Thailand. So Tony versus Pupaz, we're going to Thailand. And it also gives us some great music as well. And it's fantastic to see the crowd moving in the background, even though that's particularly, well, that's 2 frames of actual animation and a few frames of random photography. Notice every player has their own unique style, so sometimes it's flying kicks and high kicks, but usually they'll have some kind of a punching style, as usual to these types of games, and as usual it's the amount of special moves that you can pull off, which usually matters. And so, of course, with the training mode, it isn't particularly hard. We also get a bonus for all the energy that we had remaining after that particular round. It's fun to lay into this guy, hell for leather, and you can see we are definitely damaging him, but you can also see that he's damaging us as well. And if you stay back and wait for him to unleash something, then you're a sitting duck and he's going to unleash something that kills us. So what can we do? Well, we can keep bashing away, and that revolving circular saw is definitely something to watch out for with this particular guy. And congratulations, you win the round. You get all the bonus score and you've beaten the practice mode of the game. Only just. Well done. Now let's choose somewhere else and let's choose somebody else. And you can see this guy reminds me, of course, of a certain Street Fighter 2 character. And he's tall and lanky. In this case, he fires a basketball around the screen. And I have no idea how I'm going to use that to my advantage. All we can do is way into them. Well, look at that. Straight knockout. I didn't even touch that guy, so I was completely wrong. The opponent, particularly in his home territory, is very strong. so hopefully we'll need to jump over him, and then all we need to do is sweep in the opposite direction. So let's see if we can put that into a performance gain, jump over him and hit him, and that should mean, just like Ye Are Kung Fu on the Commodore 64, we can find his weakness, and that means we can get him. Look at that special move, I got him with something that barely scratched the surface. Urgh, I am Bruce Lee, you can't kill me, I'm the best guy in the game. Well, we already scratched that guy, so that means we're going to have to be him or learn how to fight him from now on. So let's choose somebody else. Then you can see a great rendition of the globe, reminded me of Nigel Mansell's World Championship on the Amiga, also created by Gremlin Graphics. This time we're fighting, I think, as a woman, and we are in some kind of a costume, so that means hopefully we've got some kind of an advantage. Unfortunately not against this guy, so let's just move on to the code. And most of the code was created by Naps, which was an Italian firm who sold this game to Gremlin. We were not Gremlin Graphics anymore, it was Gremlin Interactive. By 1995 they'd already started working on CD-ROM games and things like that, but right now they got this game from an Italian company. It was coded by Domenico Barba and also Matt Dorkin and Paul Hinley. None of those guys went on to any of the games, I don't think, before or after this, I'm not quite sure. And, well, not on the Lemon Amiga website database at least. So the graphics were created by Fabio Capone and also Domenico Barba again. And the music was Fabio Cicerello and also Patrick Phelan created the music. Patrick Phelan, of course, stalwart of Gremlin Graphics, created lots of title music and game music, and also another music creator, Neil Biggin, also created music for Zool 1 and 2. And the music in this game is fantastic. Fighting as Curry, one of the heaviest and strongest in the game. Unfortunately, this guy is taking some hits to knock him out. And looks like, well, have we actually got him? Yes, you won! That means it's the decider, and it's catching up with this guy and grabbing hold of him in the first place. I noticed the throwing action really wiped out his energy, so if we can grab hold of him and throw him again, hopefully that will do us some favours. Unfortunately, he's got like a lightning strike. That's great, that's another throw, and the lightning can pass straight through us, so we're not really agile with the jump with this particular character. It's a standoff right at the end, but wouldn't you credit it? He uses a special move, and that means we lose. Some of those special moves are fairly easy, straightforward, pull back, forward back, that kind of thing, but some of them are pretty tricky. But I guess it's the special moves that create these types of games, and so we're going to move on to Chrome, which is a very old way to spell Chrome, and Jürgen, who of course comes from Germany. So the chrome guy reminds me perhaps of Terminator 2. Here in the parking lot we find ourselves fighting against a cop who reminds me something like Streets of Rage or something like that, and we fight against him. And so he's got various moves, including a pistol that he can pull out and shoot our head off, which is great to see. And you can see kind of an Amiga checkerboard effect in the background on the columns and the brickwork and things like that. And they did give us some kind of parallax in the background, not that you'll be able to see it much because it's not really used much on most levels. So some levels are really stunning and stand out, and some levels like this one don't. And there's massive parallax on the ground, but as soon as you reach the edge of the screen it stops scrolling. So unless you're actually looking at the ground instead of your opponent, you won't really notice those terrific effects. And the cars in the background are static. This character Chrome also reminds me of Rise of the Robots as well. An unfair comparison because unlike that game, this one is actually playable. It's actually a lot more fun and it's actually possible to kill the opponents with this game, although it's very difficult. Let's move on yet again to another character, and now it's Yarado from Mexico versus Cody, who's martial arts expert. So what we've got, meditation, that's a really good skill, to learn the ancient Aztec power of the soul. So hopefully we can meditate our way through to an easy victory. Unluckily, we lost the very first match by a hair's breadth, and that means we have to fight him again. And it's great to see paint on the scaffold outside of the Statue of Liberty, and of course the chains moving as well. It would be great to have something like that on every level. On this particular one you can see a nice depth perception, but again the background is just static, so you don't get an eye blinking towards or anything like that, even though they could have done that. And birds flying around and things, well, more than the 3-4 frames of animation that guy's using at the moment. But you can see the colours hopefully have been used to good effect, so this is at least console quality, which makes a difference. Unfortunately this was not released in 1992 or even 93 or even 94. This was released in 1995 when Windows 95 came out and stole 95% of the Amiga users over to the PC. So that being the fact, most users at the time never got to play this game, along with a lot of the later Amiga games. So we've now got, it looks like we've only got a small selection to go for this time. Maybe this is the league that we're going for. So let's see now, what is it going to do for us? We're now playing as Cody versus Jürgen.
Round one. Fight.
Software are still very much in the business. Apparently they used the Shadow Fighter on the Amiga release to launch PC development and PC games, and even console games as well. They released at least 4 or 5 PS1 games, and maybe 4 or 5 PS2 games as well. So, Naps, you might remember Battle Over the Pacific for the PS2, or maybe Sniper Assault as well for the PS2, and they're still in the business with mobile games even today. So this is another one of those software creative development companies which did not need to come back from the flames. Instead it carried on going, and it's still going even to this day. If you go to the website and click on the box art cover of Shadow Fighter, you'll find a description of that game. So they are still going, and really it's great that something like this was at least created on the Amiga to show people what was actually possible. And yes, it looks very colourful in AGA mode, and they really did try to pack a lot in there. It doesn't really take much advantage of the old 20, unfortunately, because the ECS, OCS and the AGA version play at identical speed. So there's no Super Street Fighter 2 mode with this, where Turbo mode, where you can fight at twice the speed because you're using twice as fast CPU. No, everything is triggered towards the 7 MHz triple O setting of the lowest common denominator software platform, and then they upgraded that by adding a few colours. Moving on to those scores, Amiga Joker gave this the low score with 79%. The current Lemon Amiga score is 82%. Amiga Format gave this 89%. Amiga Computing gave it 91%.
Round one. Fight.
880 Gamer gave this 93%. Stu Amiga also gave this 93%, which gives this an average rating of 88, which I'm actually going to round up to 9 out of 10. I think the music on offer is terrific, and the graphics are adequate enough. The playability is too much on the hard side as far as the AI goes, and it really could have done with a kid mode or a super easy mode so that people could actually learn the manoeuvres and get into it the hard way. Instead, people have to be beaten up the hard way, and they struggle to pull off the manoeuvres, and so it doesn't feel satisfying when you kill somebody. It just feels a massive relief, and then you have to fight them again. So it's very difficult from the start, and novices and newbies will be punished because they don't know all the special moves, so you're going to have to learn them. So it's kind of a one-trick game. If you know what to do, pull off a special move like pulling out a gun at any point, then of course you're going to shoot the enemy to death, and if you can do that, then you're going to beat the game. So it's definitely possible to just shoot your way through the entire game if you're the cop. So it gives us a few credits as well. So the title sequence, well, it doesn't have any animation. By 1995 you would have expected some kind of a story or some kind of intro screens. It gets straight into the game itself. It's a few disc swapping as well. So what can you say? It's good, but I wouldn't even say it's as good as IK Plus, because it's not instantly absorbable. You can't just jump in with both feet and hack away at it and feel instantly gratified. Instead, you have to learn it, and that means most players will be put off by that. So, thank you very much. Thank you.